Okay. Now, so we've just completed a round of drilling in eastern Slovakia, a friendly mining jurisdiction that I'll tell you about. This is drilling a Zemplin silver target in March with our contractors. You can see it's quite open, operationally straightforward. Standard disclaimer, because I'll talk about a lot of speculative matters, we're pre-resource. The reason we're there is we, as a group, since the Bolnisi days in Mexico, we prefer brownfields assets. We are not a large company that does generative greenfields work. We work off previous efforts of others and reassemble value. We like this asset. We own it 100%. We farmed into a third party who converted their remainder for shares in Prospech, so it's cleanly held for shareholders. Importantly, we try to de-risk shareholders' exposure to risk geological where we can, but obviously jurisdictional. Slovakia's EU, EEC, and lately, importantly, NATO. It is, of course, a famous goldfield, however, we'll go through that. And what I like is a geological system where you've got an overprint. I won't get too technical, but it takes away the human error factor on later mining when you have a repeated high-grade system. As you can see here, Krakow of 283 gold, 1700 silver, which we've drilled recently, is previously unknown for grade. So corporate slide all in one slide. Share price is less than you see there, where market cap would be closer to 3.5 million today. A board that consists of remnants from Bolnisi Gold, but also John Levings, who's our main executive director in the technical side. Stephen Gemmell, a mining engineer. Richard Edwards, also with Nickel Mines and Alpha HPA. Country manager Marion Urban, senior geologist Jacob Bukovina. Apologies for the slight offset in text there. So we also like to expose shareholders to known geological belts that are popular with third parties who may look at us once we prove things up. We are unapologetically a speculative explorer. This belt, you can see on the right-hand side of the slide, Bolnisi, where the company's predecessors processed gold back in the mid-90s. We're used to Europe. We like this belt of rocks. Other groups such as Freeport, you can see Adriatic. It is quite a busy belt now, particularly the Balkans to our south, and more so the Western Tethian area where we are in Slovakia. There's another neighbouring company at Kremnica, MTC. So it's getting busier and busier, mainly Canadians, but there's a few Australians there now too. Why Slovakia? As I've said, to keep admin costs down, we keep it to one jurisdiction. There's obviously some fabulous assets on open ground in neighbouring jurisdictions, but for admin reasons and the size of our enterprise, we obviously seek out low-cost, transparent jurisdictions. Slovakia is ranked by third-party groups as being clear, largely free of graft, part of the EEC, Euro banking, and all the rest of it. So it's also the biggest producer of vehicles per capita in the EU, and quite an industrialised country. In terms of geography, this is a slide we do feel we have to go through. The projects are mainly in central Slovakia. One project in eastern Slovakia where we drilled at Zemplin, as you saw on the opening slide. In the west, we're drilling what's called a Volcanic Caldera, as you would have heard about in the past in Fiji or Lahire. Very young rocks, despite the view of Europe. These are young mineralised systems. And logistically, you can see it's quite straightforward. I flew back from Vienna a few weeks ago. It's about 2 hours from site. We know the key to value is drilling, and we therefore pick on, as I said earlier, brownfields assets that are near drill ready or require minimal technical assistance to get to compete for drill meters. Zemplin was discovered by the government and RTZ some time ago. An open silver system. We are due to report further silver results. You can see an earlier result there of over 1,200 ppm or grams per tonne silver. Narrow at the moment. We think we're drilling the top of the system there. We have to follow that at depth and along strike. At the moment, we've moved to the western project, Tadrusha, where in due course we'll drill both a pre-resource asset where we've done the block model already, but we need more modern drilling at Shopper, but also a new, and this is the main thing to take away from today's presentation, a new breakthrough on flat makes, as people are aware of in Fiji at the Emperor mine, a detachment fault, and our friends at Dundee in Bulgaria. These are high-grade flat systems, as was topical recently with Lion in Fiji as well. So that is the one paradigm shift for this company. And we have a modest budget reflecting the size of the company, one rig continuing to drill. So this is quite a busy slide, but basically the circular nature of the Hadrusha Humray project is because it covers what's called a volcanic caldera, or a heat source that drives metals, as people would have spoken about earlier. What we like about it is that it's largely on forestry ground, so we're able to access drill targets and hit them in 3D where we need to. As we mentioned, we also have the Krakauer target at Nova Banya, which remains for some work to be done on it, as well as Pukenech to the south with over 800 undrilled workings. This is the kind of ground when I was a young geologist 30 years ago in Broken Hill or Kalgoorlie that you would have liked to get hold of. So I like the dominance piece of us controlling a gold field for such a small entity. And it's not just us saying that, it's geologically accepted. This is the main stratovolcano, if you like, fluid metal source in the Western Tethyan of Europe. So we're on the right ground. Of course, there's peripheral targets to the north and east, but we'd prefer to leave them and focus on the main game. So this is a little bit, the one thing to take from this slide is we have, I don't know if this laser, I don't know. What you can see is what's called a flat or a low angle normal fault system in the bottom left diagram. You have basically high grade flat systems that were never mined. Despite a millennia of mining there, they were only discovered in 1993 because they were stratigraphically hidden from the old timers who mined the surface obvious vertical systems which offset and down through them and hid them. It's quite a common phenomena. You see it elsewhere, as I said, in Fiji. And what we're doing now is we've just completed some IP, and we'll drill the best IP of these basically virgin high-grade targets right under the nose of existing production. One comment I didn't make earlier was that we surround a modern operating gold mine. So this is not a gold mine we hope one day might get back to production. They've been in continuous production since 1993 on this new style of mineralisation, and we control 90% of it. So it's all about a breakthrough. It's not about trying to repump an old project. This has actually had a major breakthrough in terms of the goldfield's been broken wide open. We do compare it. We don't think it's a unique geological snowflake. We compare it to systems, as I said, high-grade systems in the Pacific and elsewhere. Our friends at Dundee Precious Metals are developing one right now in Bulgaria called Arta Tepe, which is also a low-angle normal fault, or detachment fault as they call it. And these sort of systems are high-grade, generally shallow dipping, and generally not detected in the past. We combine modern and technology or data with old data. You can see here the grey. This is a plan view of the hole we'll most likely drill next, depending on logistics. What you can see is a moonscape. That's in fact laser topography picking up the millennia of old workings, which are important. They're not all important because keep in mind old miners use workings like we use drill holes. Some of them are dead for a reason, but generally once they got onto a load, we use those to refine the 3D model. You can see the old workings, the old void model there, which I do, and then John Levings, who's in the audience, put together the drill planning with remnant extremely high grades. You can see the gold equivalent legend on the right. Anything purple is worth drilling out, basically. So that's, again, undrilled. The block model's already done. We just need to rehabilitate it with some modern information to graduate to JORC resources. You can see some underground micro drilling there. That is JORC compliant BQ core, as long as you submit all the core and then you twin the holes. So that's a quick way of internally gathering data when it's winter, for example, and we can't drill on the surface. Another example of the extremely, if you like, untested nature of what is a well-endowed goldfield. This one in Pukenech to the south, Weitenzacher, which is a high-grade system that ran about 7 grams equivalent, and the Germans gave up on it because they got wiped out by the Turks a few too many times. So I like projects that are artificially stopped, and this one is on forestry ground as well. So we basically, once we get some high grades, then you graduate to drill out, then you get to resources. So we're not as advanced as some of the stories you've heard earlier, but this is a normal linear low-tech approach. Again, with high-tech laser topography that was free from the government forestry. In terms of operations, I've been pursuing this asset since 2011 when I first heard about it in Chile. Then with support from my former bosses here in Sydney, the Bolnisi crew, we put together funding and finally listed 2020. And we've been drilling since. We are pre-resource, as I said. We've just drilled Zemplin. We'll drill Schopfer for a second time shortly, and the LANF, or the detachment fault breakthrough. Potentially Pukanach, although it has to compete. There's a lot of targets, as you can see. We're a very small company with a very large asset base, so there has to be some sort of consideration of ranking internally. So I'll just indulge with a 1 and 50-second video next to give you some idea of operations. Hello, my name is Jason Beckton, Managing Director of Prospech Ltd on the Australian Stock Exchange PRS. We've been exploring brownfields, gold, silver and critical mineral targets here for a number of years. One project here at Zemplin, we are drilling to follow up high-grade silver zones. As you can see, it's quite an open area, such as I've drilled in the past in Western Australia.
Hello, my name is Peter Tuček. I'm Field Supervisor for Prospech Ltd. We are following grades of silver up to 1,220 grams per ton on this structure. We have drilled and it remains open, so now getting into the next phase on an open area with a clean program.
In future, we plan to drill in the Hydrusha project in the west, where we have exciting new IP anomalies, some information we collected in late 2021. Follow that up with also drilling an exploration target called Schopfer, gold-silver system as well, so you can see strong news flow, continual drilling onward. Keep an eye on Prospech Ltd for the remainder of the year as we keep drilling these prepared targets, and I encourage you to follow our information as we go along. Okay, thank you. Apologies for the upbeat nature at the end, but it's a small team and he's a good mate. So key summary investment is that we are to be glass half full good value, particularly after today. We have a linear process. We know what we're doing. This is my 30th year in the job and 15th year in a public company directorship. We're careful with investors' money when it comes to travel and operations, and the percentage of investors post-cash tax that's then post-tax investment that then comes to us, we're very careful with, and most of it goes into drilling. 1.5 expats, so we know what we're doing, but we're still light on when it comes to that. Let us know if you'd like to hear more about it. We have a booth, and thank you for your time.